No, your ears do not deceive you. I do indeed have the shower on in the background. You can interpret that last sentence however you will. One way or another, I made it work. But yeah, I mean, if you like it or if it makes the video a bit more unique, then sure, I'll keep it. But if you find it annoying after a while or whatever, I'll take it down as well. When I say take it down, I mean like stop doing the sound effect, not like take down the literal video. Because I do have something to talk about today. When you were little, nobody bullied you for liking anime. They bullied you because you were weird. Yeah, that conversation is making the rounds again. Feels like it happens every 2 months or so. People trying to start shit on Twitter, I guess rent's due again. Actually, that checks out because it's almost the end of the month. First of all, let's kind of break down that phrase in general. There are very few things, especially if we're talking in the context of children and teenagers, there are very few things that you can do, in my opinion, that are extreme enough to warrant getting bullied. Secondly, let's also, sort of zero in on the fact that the weird portion of that sentence is probably just a politically correct euphemism for other stuff, and I'll leave it there. But yeah, it's not the anime, it's you being weird. I do have a few things to say on this. Well, I already said some things, but I have a few more things to say. And then we will also get into some, I guess, quote tweets that kind of stuck out to me with regards to this topic. First of all, when people say this, they kind of tell on themselves because they are, in a sense, sort of saying, whether they realize it or not, that I guess specifically if this was a person that might have bullied someone for it, back in the day. I'm not saying someone did or someone didn't, or I'm accusing people specifically of doing it, but I'm sure they exist. You get what I mean? They're sort of telling on themselves by saying, it's not the fact that you liked Pokemon or you liked Dragon Ball, and I'm going to get into why I use those two as examples in a bit. It's not really about the Pokemon or the Dragon Ball. It's not that we didn't like, it was you we didn't like. Yeah, no shit. You saw the person as an easy target and you just took something they really liked and used it against them. Seems pretty simple to me. Another thing too, I'm not really sure if I brought this up before, I'm sure I did, but generally when we're talking about something like that and it happened that far back, we're talking about when we were literal freaking children. Maybe teenagers at most, like early teens probably. Actually, I'm Gen Z, so most definitely after the pandemic if we're talking about anime specifically, but I would say maybe around like the 2015? 2016 most definitely, maybe. Yeah, 2015, 2016 sounds about right. Was before like anime became like cool enough that like you could mention you liked it and not get like clowned on for it. And it could vary depending on where you lived, what kind of school you went to, culture and stuff like that. But, I'm speaking very generally here when I say that. It's an approximation, people. Something very similar actually kind of happened with games. I wasn't alive back then, so I'm just going off a word of mouth. But, games, there was a point where, when games especially were first being made and, were definitely more of an underground thing, it was very, how do I put this? There was a point where games were very uncool to like. And even when they became cool, it kind of sort of just became cool around younger people, and older people still didn't really, fuck around with that. But yeah, games started out very uncool, I guess because they were made by nerds and, oh no, icky nerds, blah, blah, blah. And then it there was kind of a change. What I hear, maybe around like PS1 era is what I keep hearing, although it could have been earlier. Like I said, I wasn't alive. And then this is where I can finally insert myself into the story, because I do remember this. Games became cool, and you'd really only get called nerdy if you were playing like really niche games. So basically, sports games were okay, shooters were okay, racing games, which I guess falls under sports games. Basically, if the cool kids, for lack of a better term, if it was something they were playing, then it was okay for everyone else to play them too. If you were playing something that they never heard of though, then that's when the sort of, oh, he's a nerd, kind of dynamic started to kick in. And I think something very similar happened with anime and manga around, I feel like it happened around 2015, 2016. And then it kind of hit another sort of boom, I guess, when the pandemic hit for obvious reasons, where basically, before it was all anime, including Pokemon, including Dragon Ball, including One Piece, including Naruto, including a lot of franchises that are seen as, almost normal now, where if you had a Dragon Ball t-shirt or you made a One Piece reference while talking to someone or whatever, where at worst maybe they'd be indifferent, or at best they'll understand it and kind of start vibing with you, you know. It's really more niche anime that'll kind of give you some strange looks. And I guess, okay, yes, it does depend on the anime. Like, there are some anime that just, it's not something you'd bring up in a workplace. I'm not saying those are bad shows or that they don't have artistic value or you can't enjoy watching them. I'm just saying, I like to call it public anime and private anime. I know I'm kind of conforming here, but it's like, you get what I mean. There's anime you would talk to a friend about, and then there's anime you'd talk to your boss about if you happen to find out your boss likes anime. So I think both games and anime kind of went through something very similar where, as I said, all of it is, oh, you know, the nerds like that, don't fuck with it. And then it shifted to, okay, some of the more popular, well-known ones are okay, just not the niche ones. Anyway, this isn't really solely about games. I kind of went off on a tangent. As I said, I just saw some similarities between the two hobbies, and they're kind of going through similar stuff. It's just that anime kind of feels like it's going through the same stuff that video games went through. But yeah, like I said before, you know, kind of going back a few minutes. Yes, even if it was something normal, you know, you would still get, you know, clowned on for it. Because sometimes I'll hear this claim like, oh, well, the anime fans that we made fun of were perverts. And I'm like, back in 3rd grade? Like, I didn't know what High School DxD was back then. I was watching Pokemon. I was watching Digimon. I was watching Naruto. I was watching Dragon Ball. Like, the way some people try and rewrite your own experiences with this thing, it's annoying, and I'm putting that very lightly. Another common, like, sort of criticism I'll hear is like, oh, you tried to go Super Saiyan during gym class, or you tried Naruto running in the hallways. Bro, at my school, you couldn't run in the hallways, period. Let's get that out the way, okay? I can count on my fingers the amount of people who Naruto ran during gym class. It wasn't much. It was like 3 guys. And even then, some kids got bullied harder than they did. So it's not even the Naruto running that'll do you in, if you're even that kind of guy. I don't know, just making up all these, like nobody did this. And when I say nobody, I mean like maybe somebody did, but not like a significant amount of people. And this isn't even taking into consideration the fact that, you know, I'm kind of speaking solely on the perspective of like a nerdy guy, but kids will bully each other for like anything. So you don't even have to be nerdy or into nerdy shit or, you know, represent the nerd aesthetic or anything like that. Like, you don't even need to be all that to get bullied. You can be a perfectly normal, unassuming person, and they'll still find something to bully you over. Like, if someone wants to bully you, they're just gonna bully you. It doesn't really matter what you like, what you're into, you know, or anything like that. They'll just find something and frickin' clown on you for it. It could be gender, it could be skin color, it could be what you're wearing that day. It could be the color of what you're wearing. It could be how your shoes look. That goes back into what you're wearing. But, you know, it could be what you ordered for lunch. It could be, you frickin' answered a question in class and you fucked up the math problem and you getting laughed at. Like, there's so many things people can give you shit for, like, and we're supposed to think, like, anime wasn't something that they would also use against people who they wanted to bully and realized, oh, they like this thing. Come on, guys. Really? It's not that hard to believe. Once again, I'm going to kind of backtrack a bit. Going back to, like, weird anime. I guess anime that especially if you peruse, like, social media, like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Anime that, like, if you were into, someone would say, okay, it's justified for you to get bullied for that. You know what I'm talking about. I will say, even those types of anime were not anime that I discovered or started watching until way, way later in my life. Relatively speaking. I'm 25. That's pretty young. Although that's like elderly in most anime universes. So I don't know. But yeah, and even then, like, I can read a room. I think most people don't really, like I said, there's anime you would talk to a friend about, and there's anime that you would talk to your boss about. Like, you're not gonna, you know, run into your boss on your first day on the job and like explain in vivid detail like the circumference of your favorite waifu's titties or something. You get what I mean? Yes, some people can't read the room, but it's a bit disingenuous to say nobody can read the room. Like, you know? And I don't think you should necessarily take somebody's behavior on like Twitter, for example, and assume that that's how they conduct themselves professionally. Now, maybe they do, but I don't think most people do, to be fair. Okay, quote tweet time. The tweets that kind of started this whole thing for like the millionth time, because like I said, this happens like once every few months. Actually, it's several quote tweets that kind of started this, but like, there's this anime that's been making the rounds, Don I think that's what it's called, and basically someone quote tweeted what I assume to be the opening. It's actually on my watch list, but I haven't actually gotten any time to see it. Anyway, someone quote tweeted it and said, "One of these days we'll talk about how the black aesthetic be carrying anime on its back." So yes, this video is actually, this one in particular, it is going to have a bit of a racial slant to it. Nothing too extreme, but I think I'm a little qualified to comment on this, being a black dude myself. Carrying anime on its back is a bit of an overstatement, I feel like. A reference doesn't necessarily mean you're carrying something on its back. And that's about as much as I'm going to say about this one, because we have more to go through. The next one, as a black kid who grew up in the hood, I need y'all to shut up. I remember not long ago, before anime was mainstream, you'd get beat up, bullied, or outcast for liking it. Back when anime wasn't cool, quotation marks, it was violently rejected in our community, but now we're claiming it. I agree with him, to an extent. Now, my experience is not one-to-one like his. I did not grow up in the hood. I grew up in a pretty white neighborhood, for lack of a better term. I guess you could call it that. But yeah, everything else, I agree with it, because I lived through it, Yes, is it pretty apparent that a lot of black people have warmed up to anime and really like it now? Yeah, obviously. That's very much apparent. But he is right where it wasn't always like that. It wasn't just white kids clowning on you for liking anime back in school. Black kids did it with just as much gusto. So yeah, I completely agree with him there too. As a matter of fact, between you and me, some of my worst bullies, at least when it came to anime specifically, were black. And yeah, it's one thing to warm up to it. It's another thing to completely claim it and say, oh yeah, we was always like this, or we always had this thing on lockdown. No, you didn't. Revisionism, once again. And then this was the tweet that that's when the position really kind of went in the direction of, it wasn't because of anime, it was because you were weird. And, basically the guy said, or girl, I'm pretty sure this is a guy, but whatever. Niggas didn't get bullied simply for liking anime. Tell the whole story about how you tried to turn Super Saiyan in gym class in front of the hoes. Most of us were so shy that we wouldn't even dream of doing that in front of anyone, let alone in front of hoes. And another thing, I forgot to bring this up too. What grade level are we generally referring to when we're saying this? Because he's bringing up okay. Because you know what? Even if someone did go Super Saiyan in the middle of gym class, would he get bullied for that? Most likely. Should he? I don't think so. You're a kid. You do cringy shit all the time. You're gonna tell me everyone else in that class is prim and pristine and they never, hollered out something in the middle of class when they shouldn't have, or they weren't talking over the teacher, and then the teacher proceeds to get everyone in trouble for something one person did. I hate that shit too, by the way. Or anything like that. No, it was just the kid who liked anime? You sure? Well, your mileage may vary. But another thing I forgot to bring up. Yes, what grade level are we referring to here? Because I remember when I was in third grade, maybe it was second grade. I don't know. I was really young. It was elementary school. And me and, some of my peers, a whole bunch of us, we'd go outside for recess, but we'd role play Power Rangers and stuff. And 5 of us, 6, depending on how far in the season they were, if the 6th Ranger had joined or not. 5 or 6 of us would be the Rangers, and then one guy would be the villain, and we'd always rotate who had to be the villain, because nobody wanted to be the villain. We'd have to rotate who had to play as the villain every time we went out for recess. Isn't that kind of like Naruto running in the hallway? I mean, you're not really doing it during class time, so there is that difference, but you're still, bringing fictional shit into real life, in a sense. But nobody really gave us shit for doing that. Now, if we tried to do it with anime, though, if we tried to do it with Naruto or Dragon Ball, or we tried to pretend to be Pokemons or some shit, yeah, then we got made fun of. So there was definitely a bias. But I don't consider, and this is just my opinion, okay, you go Super Saiyan in the middle of a dodgeball match, and is that any less cringy than what I just described? We gathered up and we played pretended to be Power Rangers during recess. And that was just my example. And then, from then on, yeah, there were a whole bunch of quote tweets for that guy specifically. The one who said, oh, you didn't tell us about how you went Super Saiyan during gym class. A kid being a cringy dork isn't an excuse for you to become a cruel person. I agree. But like I said, yes, is it cringy? Yeah. Realistically, is he going to get bullied for doing that? Most likely, but it's still not right. Like I said at the beginning, there are very few things that I think you could do at that age that would warrant you getting bullied for. Stop gaslighting, even your logic is retarded. We were kids. Kids doing kid shit isn't surprising, and the hoes, air quotes, in question are little girls. I don't know about y'all, but I wasn't trying to impress the girls back then. The average anime watcher wasn't Naruto running or anything. Yeah. Basically a Cliff Notes version of what I was saying before I even read this. Like I said, I mean, we were all little kids or early teenagers at the absolute worst. And yeah, we do cringe shit all the time. Whether it was about anime or whether it was about something else you liked or you were just acting a fool, it just happened. And yeah, for the most part, like I said, most of the anime people were probably too freaking shy to even think of doing something like Naruto running through the hallways. You kidding me? So you're gonna get smoked by the teacher for running, and then your classmates for Naruto running too? That's like a double whammy. You gonna have the whole class staring at you doing forbidden jutsus while you're serving silent lunch. Y'all trying to rewrite history because anime is popular now. Don't talk over other people's experiences. Most kids got bullied for liking anything that was different. You're way underestimating just how unreasonable most kids can be. Exactly. It's not just anime, although anime did make you a far more, it kind of painted a bullseye on your back. But yeah, even if there was no anime or video games or anything nerdy, they just find something else to bother you about. Every 2 months you niggas bring up the you didn't get bullied simply for liking anime, you were just trying to turn Super Saiyan narrative. Kids try to recreate the cool shit they see on TV and there's nothing wrong with that. Motherfuckers just want to justify bullying for some reason. Yeah. Basically what I had said about, when we were pretending to be Power Rangers, nobody cared. If we pretended to do like Naruto or something, then they'd care. Isn't it wild how the internet was a refuge for nerds and geeks to get away from bullying, and now not only did the bullies get popular, they justify their bullying. That kind of almost gets into something else that I could talk about, but it's going to take me on a whole ass tangent, so I'm just going to move on. In front of the hoes, you were 13 and there were no hoes. Yeah, a little weird to call the female students hoes when we were all 12 or 13, maybe even younger, depending on what grade level we're talking about. They did. Y'all gotta stop gaslighting niggas just cause anime is an accepted medium now. If it wasn't Dragon Ball Z or maybe Pokemon, niggas would bully the fuck out of you. The shit happened. And I think the reason he said maybe Pokemon was because Pokemon Go officially solidified Pokemon as something cool to like. I remember I had to go to my mom's workplace. I guess I was kind of like her secretary for the day or whatever. I don't know. I was helping her sort through some paperwork and stuff, or whatever. It was just one of those days. A couple of her coworkers, kind of come to talk to me. Keep in mind, both of these women were older than she was. Significantly at that, without revealing, anything else. And they literally they're like, hey, are you into that Pokemon Go game? And I'm like, huh? I'm sitting there and I'm like, these old ass ladies are playing Pokemon Go? And then I found out half of the whole office was playing it, and I'm like, wait a minute. Some of y'all would have called Pokemon satanic 10 years ago. Wait, what's going on here? I woke up in Bizarro World. What the fuck? It was actually good that we bullied the autistic guy for liking anime back when it was acceptable. Low-tier god image. Yeah, once again, like I said, telling on themselves. And this is the last one I'm going to end off on, and it's actually chibi reviews, ironically, considering what just happened to him. The amount of gaslighting and revisionist history in this post is insane. Anime is an accepted medium now, but even then it's literal entry-level stuff. Go beyond that and you're a weirdo to 2020 fans. If you were even a Dragon Ball Z or Pokemon fan, you were bullied in early 2000s. Exactly. I keep saying exactly a lot, but people keep spitting. Like I said way earlier, even though anime is cool now, there's only a certain set of anime that you're allowed to like. There's a threshold as far as weirdness is concerned. I understand people have their personal taste. It's completely fine that you don't like the weird ones. It's just an observation. Most anime, if we were to give it a binary weird or not weird category, Most anime falls into weirdo shit category. Let's just get that out the way. The vast majority of them would end up in that category. So yeah, as he said, like it's literal, it's just the entry level stuff. It's your Pokemons, your Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece. What did I miss? Bleach, maybe some others. Demon Slayer comes to mind. Attack on Titan. You know, like just like what I said, and like I said too, it's something similar kind of happened with games in the past where some games were okay to play and the niche ones weren't, and anime is going through the same thing. Some anime is okay to, well, I should say, because you can like whatever you want, I should say like and then openly talk about in public. You know, anime is going through something very similar. I don't know what's going to happen in the coming years. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And then, you know, just to summarize once again, like this wasn't even exclusive to a particular race. It wasn't exclusive to, this is one of those few things where it kind of transcends what type of person you were. If you liked anime, that was just a very easy thing for people to get on your case about. And it's like, it happened. It already happened. It's not like, at least me specifically, I'm not going to say I'm traumatized for it or anything. Like I'm not like one of those bring back bullying motherfuckers, but I do think that bullying for most kids, I'm not saying it's good, but for most kids, it is going to be their introduction into sort of the darker aspects of living, in the sense that that's how you figure out not everybody is going to like you. Not everyone is nice to you. Not everybody, you know, it's not all sunshine and roses. Like, bad shit happens that you can't control, and some people will just be absolute haters for absolutely no reason at all. Why did I say absolutely so much? I'm absolutely obsessed with the word absolutely. It's just absolute. Anyway, that'll be the end of this one. You guys know what to do. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Sub to the channel if you haven't already. Special thanks to all channel members for your continued support. It's much appreciated, and I will see you all again very soon.